All you got to do is take a look around here to really see the impact here. A lot of these shelves that were once filled with food, now they're just going empty. Just to give you an idea of how large of a scene we're talking, the bulk of the evidence markers that at least we can see are off to the side a little bit further. That's where I counted more than a dozen of them. So we've only got about a quarter of a tank to fill, so our pain at the pump won't be nearly as bad as folks who hold off as long as they can. Things have really been picking up. The wind here, you can see it, you can probably hear it through the microphone. We can certainly feel it, and the rain is just pelting us. We can see tread marks, grass torn up, all the way leading up to the tree here where that truck crashed. The payout here is all virtual. No real balloons to throw at here means no need for cleanup, no need for an attendant.
You could be a body double for Wonder Woman. I mean, instead of a lasso, you've got a microphone there on your outfit.
Good morning. I've got these guns too.
Yeah.
They aren't that big though. They're not as big as the economic impact we're going to be seeing here, and that's because tens of thousands of fans are going to be coming through the doors here. They're concerned it's going to deter people from going solar with one less economic incentive. Now many who have wanted to go solar are rushing to do it now to try and get grandfathered in. It's a hands-on process, installing solar panels.
Down, down, down.
Things can get pretty loud. But inside, Rachel Beveridge welcomes the clanging, even working from home.
Yeah, I don't mind it.
That's because Rachel is excited to have a house that'll run on clean energy. She and her husband had been considering solar for a while. This new pool was a pushing point. They wanted a way to heat it year-round without breaking the bank.
Then it turned into, well, the math backed up why we should continue on, and so now we're doing the whole house in solar.
She says the timing couldn't be better. That's because state legislators recently passed a bill allowing utility companies to offer rooftop solar users less money for energy. Right now, those users get the full retail rate for any excess energy they send back to the grid. That means they can bank that energy as credits to use later, the chance to net zero their bills year-round. But if this measure becomes law, the payback rate would gradually decline. Solar contractor Brad Lowndes says hitting net zero would be a no-go.
It's a typical example of the power companies honestly saying, do as I say, not as I do. Because they can build power plants, but we can't benefit from the free energy that we pull out of the grid.
Supporters argue this ensures those who can't afford solar aren't subsidizing those who have it. If the governor signs off, solar users can get grandfathered in for another 20 years if their panels are up and running before 2024. That's when the payback rate would start to decline. Rachel's just glad she got it now.
We've been able to capitalize when it's, the most perks.
Florida Power and Light is a major supporter of this bill. The utility company sent us a statement saying net metering rules should be modernized to make solar energy more equitable for all Floridians. Adding, quote, this legislation would take an important step toward balancing the costs of solar expansion here in the state. I'm told the food bank's trucks actually go through more than 2,100 gallons of diesel a week for those food pickups, and at more than $5.19 or so a gallon, those extra costs are adding up fast. With around 800 grocery store pickups every week, Second Harvest Food Bank burns a lot of gas to put out 250,000 meals every day.
For a nonprofit budget, that stretches it really, really far in terms of what we're able to do.
Greg Higgerson is the food bank's chief development officer. He says their diesel costs are now more than $11,000 a week, up by around 20% in just the past few weeks. On top of that, food prices are up and more people are needing help.
It's still a very high need, and we expect that to continue to climb as prices go up. People are at that tipping point.
The food here gets picked up by hundreds of food pantries, soup kitchens, and the like.
Hey, Dennis.
Places like Servant's Heart Ministry. Volunteers bag and deliver food to some 200 families every week. Executive Director Chip Hanna says their gas costs have doubled over the past few months.
There's times at night where I wonder, okay, is this going to be the time where we're not going to be able to continue the ministry going?
Still, Chip is optimistic. He says they'll switch to every other week deliveries if need be to save on gas and still get the food out there.
As for Greg, he knows no matter how tight their budget gets, they'll make it work. He says they have to because the need for this help is just too high.
Our need is insignificant compared to the needs of about 500,000 people who are trying to get to work. They're trying to, make it work financially, but they're just a little bit short of that. And this situation with fuel prices doesn't help.
And on top of everything, Greg says they are also dealing with added fuel surcharges when it comes to food that's being delivered from outside of Central Florida. Reporting live in Seminole County, I'm Rebecca Turco, Spectrum News 13. Jerry, I want to introduce you to Capucine Carson. She was a mother trying to make a better life for herself and for her kids, but that life was taken from her.
She was a beautiful spirit, a beautiful person, and she impacted a lot of lives.
Capucine Carson was a daughter, a sister, a mother.
Her heart was pure, and she just wanted to belong.
But underneath it all, a struggle. Family members say her husband had a history of abuse.
I didn't know. I just had no idea.
That violence hidden from others, like her cousin, Sophronia Smith, and the abuse ultimately cost her her life last month. Orange County Sheriff's deputies say Capucine's husband shot her repeatedly, killing her. He's also accused of shooting her 3-year-old daughter, Kimbella. She's now out of the hospital recovering.
I just could not believe when I got the call. I said, quit lying to me.
Numbers from FDLE show last year there were nearly 200 domestic violence murders in Florida and nearly 107,000 domestic violence cases overall. Sophronia hopes people living through this trauma seek help to get out.
It's not that easy to get out. If you have a free way to get out, go. Run and don't look back. But if you don't have a free way to go, then you need to seek some kind of help in secret before something like this happens.
Harbor House of Central Florida offers help for people experiencing abuse. They have a 24/7 emergency hotline. That number is 407-886-2856, and you can also text that number to reach an advocate. Reporting live in the studio, Rebecca Turco, Spectrum News 13.